A lot of people think, like I used to think, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. If she wants to convert, let her convert. If he wants to convert, let him convert. If they don't, it's their business. What do I care? People think that intermarriage is not a big deal. Why? You live long enough with the non-Jews, you easily become one with them. You relate to them sometimes more than the Jews. I could tell you personally, from my own personal experience, before doing tshuva, I had virtually no Jewish friends. No Jewish girlfriends, no Jewish boyfriends, no Jewish nothing. Nothing. Why? Didn't connect to them at all. I knew a few Jewish people. They weren't my friends though. As a matter of fact, the only experiences I ever had with Jews were bad ones. Every single Jewish friend was not exactly a friend. Many of the enemies that I told you about were Jews. All my experiences with Jews were bad ones. So what do I want to be a friend with? For what? So, in a secular world, it's much easier for you to connect with non-Jews. First of all, there's more of them. And second of all, I don't know, for some reason or another, we tend to get along easier. Whatever the reason is. So people think that it's okay to be secular, it's okay to be reformed, it's okay to be conservative, it's okay to be whatever you want. So I'll give you some statistics. They did a research, PW Research did all these research, these numbers that I'm telling you. And this particular research, I remember reading about it a few years ago, but Amos actually gave me this graph, makes it look nicer. And it's gives you an understanding of just what it means. When the Rambam says you have to have schut to do tshuva, you have to have merit to do tshuva. And just like we had many miracles happen in Egypt, the same thing is going to happen before Mashiach comes, but much worse. There was 3 days of darkness in Egypt, which is a time where Hashem killed both the Egyptians and the Jews that did not want to do tshuva. The days before Mashiach comes, there'll be 15 days of darkness. Worse. 15 days. 5 times more. And only those that hold on to the truth 100%. 100% are going to survive. No more 50-50. No more datiloni. No more I'm traditional. No more I'm half religious or I'm 70%. The Gemara says the Mashiach is only going to come to a generation where everyone's righteous or everyone's wicked. So the Chachamim says it's not possible for everyone to be righteous or everyone to be wicked. There's always going to be some and some. It says no. It's only the Mashiach is going to come. He's going to save only the ones that are 100% righteous. He's going to destroy the ones that are 100% wicked. There's not going to be anybody in the middle anymore. No more 50%. No more I'm religious sometimes. I'm religious but I go to the casino. I'm religious but I like to hear speeches from missionaries. No more. This fact puts everything into perspective. They did a 4-generation research. 100 secular Jews, 100 Reformed Jews, 100 conservative Jews, 100 centrist Orthodox, which means like traditional somewhat, and 100 Hasidish, meaning Charedim. And they wanted to see how many Jews are there going to be after 4 generations. Statistically speaking, it's always supposed to grow. If you have 100 Irish people, after 4 generations, there should be more than 100. Why? You have babies. 100 have babies. They get married. 100 becomes 200. 200 becomes 400. 400 becomes 800, and so on and so forth. That's how population growth works everywhere. As long as you have, statistically speaking, 2.4 kids, the population grows. 2.4 kids. If you're having less than 2.4 kids, it stagnates. If you're having less than 2.1, it starts shrinking. If you're having 1.9, you start dying. This is statistically speaking. If you guys want to double check the numbers, you can enjoy. The point being is that you have to have kids in order to grow. You can't have kids in your imagination. You have to have kids in reality, and not just like pictures of kids on the internet. You have to have your own kids. So now, 4 generations of Hasidic Jews grew to exactly 3,398. 100, Baruch HaShem, grew to 3,398. Why? 0% intermarriage. PW Research Report 2013. 0% intermarriage. That means that everyone that had kids, they stayed Jews. Average number of children per woman, 6.45, much higher than the actual average in America. Centrist Jews, which is a combination of Orthodox, modern Orthodox, whatever, they're religious, but they're not Hasidish, they worry about money a little too much. So they're not going to have as many kids. They're not going to have 6.5 kids. They're going to have 2.96. Still a lot. 3 kids every family. Still good. Baruch HaShem. 100, just, you would think, half the amount of kids, half the amount of growth, right? Statistically, that's how your brain works. Instead of 3,400, should be 1,700. Wrong. 4 generations, 337. 10%. Half the number of kids, only 10% of the number of people. That's how much of a difference it makes. People think, no, it's going to be fine. Not going to be, no. Big difference. 3 kids, after 4 generations, you're only going to have 337. 3 times, you're going to pretty much triple yourself. 6 kids, which is double, doesn't it? It seems maybe it should be 600. No. Because of the cumulative effect, after 4 generations, you're talking about 10 times more. 10 times more. Pseudo, they're still Jewish though at least. Baruch HaShem. Now you're thinking, where's the problem area? The problem area is of just don't be conservative. Just don't be reform. Right? Be secular at least. Okay, Mechalel Shabbat, but be secular. Be secular, at least. Let's see what they have. Conservative, have a 24% intermarriage. 24% only. 24%, by the way, is not so bad. Why? Statistically speaking in America, where I just told you, we have over 60%. Conservative, in the year 2013, had 24%, meaning less than the average. With only a 24% intermarriage rate. An average number of children per woman of 1.82. So it's less, because now we're worried more about the God of money instead of the God of Am Yisrael. How many we have left? 52. 100? Dropped in half. 100 Jews became 52. 100 Jews, Shem Hashem, became 52. From what? Just a little bit less kids, and just a little bit of intermarriage. A little bit. We're not talking about 60% intermarriage. 24%. 24% intermarriage. We only have 52 left after 4 generations. Meaning, Am Yisrael just shrunk. We went from 20 million to 10. 10 to 5, 5 to 2.5, 2.5 to 1.2, 1.2 to 600,000, Shem Hashem, nothing, 0. We're talking about, within a matter of a couple of generations more, 0. Nothing left. You're thinking it's the worst? Wrong. Moving on to the reform. Reform, you're thinking, oh, Shem Hashem, what's happening to them? Why? 79% intermarriage. 79% intermarriage. Meaning, it's almost impossible to marry another Jew if you're a reform. You look weird. What are you doing? What are you marrying a Jew for? What's wrong? Even the rabbi's not a Jew. Even the rabbi's not a Jew. What are you marrying a Jew for? What are you, crazy? 100 reform after 4 generations, Rabotai Yekarim, with only 1.73 kids. How much are left? 13. 13 left. 100 just dropped 87%. 100 just dropped 87%. There's only 13 left after 4 generations. Hashem Elachem. Why? Lots of intermarriage and very few kids. Now you would think this is the worst. I thought this is the worst. It cannot get any worse than this. 100 became 13. What's it going to be? 100 became 13. Finished. That's it. Okay, reform. They give bar mitzvahs to dogs. They're the worst, no? Wrong. Who's the worst? The secular Jew. The secular Jew, the one that's traditional. Like he does kiddush on the wine and on the car at the same time on Shabbat. He does kiddush on the wine, v'shamu bnei Yisrael et Shabbat, but then he violates Shabbat. He says, and Am Yisrael kept the Shabbat, but he does kiddush on the wine, and then 20 minutes later he does kiddush on the car when he goes to the club. Like I saw Hashem Elachem in a video today, somebody sent me, wanted to give me kaparat avonot. I almost had a heart attack when I saw it. They wanted to give me, people like to give me kaparat avonot. So, what do? They sent me a video of 20 old people, 20 people, youngest among them was 75, oldest was 95, and they do Shabbat. Every Shabbat they do together. Where do they do it every week? Every week, the same place. Where? Wendy's. They do Shabbat dinner at Wendy's, eating non-kosher food, tarif, pigs, milk and meat, and they buy it on Shabbat, everything. And they do Kiddush on the Wendy's. 20 of them. 20 of them. This is Jew. They all do bracha. They say, Motzi lechem min haaretz. They say the bracha correctly. Somebody likes to give me kaparat avanot. They sent me this video, Baruch HaShem. I had nice kaparat avanot before I got here today. So now, you would think the secular Jew is not so bad. Well, okay, so he doesn't keep Shabbat. Big deal. Okay, so he doesn't keep kosher. Big deal. Okay, so he's not so religious. So she wears a mini skirt. Big deal. Kodara. What? Everybody's going to go to Gehinnom except you. That's what everybody tells me all the time. What? Everybody's going to go to Gehinnom except you. Everybody? Like I made the numbers. Like I did this. Rabotai Yekarim. It's more dangerous to be secular than reform. It's more dangerous to be secular than conservative. It's more dangerous to be secular than anything else. Why? 100 secular Jews after 4 generations, according to PEW research. 100 secular Jews have an average of intermarriage of 85%. They're even worse than the reform. And because of the intermarriage is so high and their interest in Hashem Yitbarach is so low, the number of kids that an average woman has is only 1.45 because she's very interested in her career to be CEO of Starbucks, CEO of Bank of America, CEO of Pepsi, CEO of a big company. She's interested in that. She's not interested in having kids. Kids slow her down. So she's only going to have 1.5 kids, meaning a kid and a dog. Maybe a cat too. And marrying a non-Jew, it's a partner in the business. What's the big deal? 100 secular Jews after 4 generations, Rabotai Yekarim, I'm sad to say we're left with 4. 4. That's it. 100 secular Jews dropped 96%, meaning they are 1 generation away from disappearing to 0. If that much. Meaning, after 5 generations, 0. Most likely 4.5. In reality, conservative are about 2 generations away. If they're 4 generations, they're down from 100 to 52. That means they're 1 to 2 generations away from being 0. At best 3, because the intermarriage rate is low. Or at least it was in 2013. Now it's higher. Reform, 1 generation away. Why? 100 went down to 13. They're 1 generation away from being 0. Secular, maybe not even 1 generation more. After 5 generations, definitely 0, but most likely after 4.5. Why? After 4 generations, 100 went down to 4. Rabotai Yekarim, when Rambam said, you have to have merit to do tshuva, he wasn't just referring to the fact that you're going to get the Gan Eden. He wasn't just talking about the fact that MaShiach is going to save you. He was also telling you, you have to have merit because the only way you're going to remain a Jew, period, is if you do tshuva. Forget about you're going to get Mashiach, Olam Haba, and all the good, wonderful things that we're all waiting for and working really hard about. To remain a Jew, you have to be the most religious person you know. Because even the ones that were like middle of the road weren't growing as much as the ones that were Haredim. This is statistics. This is not some political or religious agenda. This is pure statistics. Pure statistics. And to be honest with you, according to my information and what I've seen from experience, if it wasn't for the converts, we'd have no hope whatsoever. There's many, Baruch HaShem, there's many converts joining Am Yisrael. So at least we're getting some here and there that are joining Am Yisrael. But there's nowhere near as many as we're losing. The biggest reason of why we're losing the battle is because there's very, very few truth salespeople. There's very few people that are willing to tell you the truth, regardless of what you think, regardless of what you believe, regardless of how you're going to feel.